Cases of hypoxic ischemic injury are: one, there is a primary energy failure. This occurs within minutes of the hypoxic ischemic injury. So, within minutes of hypoxic ischemic injury, there will be primary energy failure. And then after primary energy failure, there is some latent phase. There is 1 to 6 hours after the injury. Once the injury occurs, then this latent phase is the phase in which we try interventions, the newer interventions, therapeutic hypothermia, erythropoietin, and they can work if they are provided in the latent phase. And then there is a secondary energy failure. This leads to, it is also reperfusion injury, or it is also called secondary injury. It occurs usually after 6 hours. So, there is 1 to 6 hours of latent phase. And after 6 hours, there is secondary energy failure. And then there is a tertiary phase. So, which starts from weeks and may extend to months. So, that is what is tertiary phase. So, we will see each of these phases. Basically, it's simple: primary energy failure, latent phase, secondary energy failure, and tertiary phase. So, now let us focus on the primary energy failure. So, in primary energy failure, what is occurring? There is hypoxia. So, there is lack of oxygen, lack of glucose, ATP is depleted, and lactate will increase. And once there is ATP depletion, then there is sodium potassium pump failure, calcium ATPase pump failure. So, sodium and calcium, they will enter the cell, and there will be cytotoxic edema. There will be damage and death within minutes. Some cells would die soon, and some sort of still surviving. So, then there is induction of destructive phospholipases. So, phospholipases are induced because of these changes. Proteases, endonucleases, they hydrolyze the membrane phospholipids and they release arachidonic acid. And then there is a glutamate release because of loss of membrane potential. This glutamate is excitotoxic. It perpetuates membrane peroxidation and it activates NMDA receptor, and there is further calcium influx. And all this leads to mitochondrial membrane damage, which increases the nitric oxide and reactive oxygen species, and there is induction of necrotic and apoptotic pathways, and inflammatory cascade also starts. Then there is the latent phase. So, after this primary energy failure, there is a latent phase in which there is resuscitation which is occurring, and then there is circulatory changes are also occurring in the fetus after birth. So, with resuscitation, there is some restoration of blood flow and oxygen supply. So, there is some ATP production and ionic cell balance is restored and pH is restored. So, ATP production, ionic cell balance, and pH, these are restored. Ionic balance means the sodium content of the cell and the calcium content, they tend to get normalized. The calcium load, the excitotoxic signal, and mitochondrial damage which was set in by the primary energy failure lingers. So, that is there still. The ATP part has recovered, some ionic cell balance has been there, and some pH has been restored, but the calcium load, excitotoxic signal, and mitochondrial damage, that is lingering, it is persisting. And reactive oxygen species production is there, and which is against the weak antioxidant defense of the newborn. So, this is what is the latent phase. Then we come to the secondary energy failure or the reperfusion injury. So, this reperfusion injury, it is occurring after 6 hours. So, 6 to 48 hours is the reperfusion injury. So, there is mitochondrial dysfunction, primary damage was there, plus there is oxidative stress because of resuscitation, and because of this damage, the ATP production is not maintained. And then there is excitotoxicity, glutamate and calcium overload. So, the enzyme activation breaks the cell structure. Then inflammatory cascade also sets in. In inflammation, inflammatory cells in the nervous system are the microglia. So, the microglia get activated and they release pro-inflammatory cytokines. Pro-inflammatory cytokines are tumor necrosis factor, interleukin 1 beta, interleukin 6. So, these cytokines, they would attract the immune cells, even the peripheral immune cells are attracted. And then cell death pathway starts in the neurons and in the oligodendrocytes. So, oligodendrocytes are the cells which produce the myelin sheaths. So, the cell death pathway starts. And then there is necrosis, apoptosis and autophagy, which lead to the neurological sequelae. Then coming to the tertiary phase, which is also called the chronic phase. So, this chronic phase would be reparative and restorative. It lasts from weeks to months after the initial injury. So, as we have seen, the microglial cells are the anti-inflammatory cells or the inflammatory cells. So, because of this chronicity, so there is a slow release of these pro-inflammatory cytokines, TNF-α, the interleukin 1 and 6, and they damage the myelin and the neuron. And then there are abnormal synapses formed, there is a slow repair, and then there is delayed apoptosis and cell death. If we do some neuroprotective intervention, for example, therapeutic hypothermia or erythropoietin, then the immune response shifts towards healing process. So, instead of pro-inflammatory cytokines, the anti-inflammatory cytokines will be there. The microglia and peripheral macrophages, they phagocytose the dead cells, and anti-inflammatory cytokines and neuronal growth factors are also released, and there is a remodeling, there is neurogenesis, there is angiogenesis, and there is axonal sprouting. So, these can occur, there can be damage or there can be restoration also. So, restoration, this is a chronic phase.